The creepypastas are some of the most interesting forms of media online. Stories about characters that haunt our day-to-day lives that nobody really knows about, and those that do know typically end up being unable to tell the tale. However, this also brings up the question of what if they weren't doing this in our world? Or rather, what other worlds could they fit into? And that question, when it comes to FNAF of course, is what we're exploring today. Gotta love that search engine optimization, let's do it. In a 10 Tails doll. The Tails doll is the main antagonist of various creepypasta stories of the same name, so Tails doll, as well as the urban legend of the same name, which originally I think was like a meme or something like that. It's basically a demonic doll designed in the form of Miles Tails Prower from the Sonic series who seeks to defeat Miles. However, in the creepypasta stories, he seems to be nothing more than a homicidal maniac who seeks to kill anyone who performs the Tails doll curse. I don't know how you can perform a curse, but okay. There's no definitive history to the Tails doll creepypastas, but the most popular one is the Tails doll curse created by Rebecca G. A man came home from work with a gift for his son. He had picked up a new video game called Sonic R. It was a racing game, and he gave it to his son as a gift. He was so excited to play it, so he got to it right away. That night though, he played the game with his son, and they had a great time. A couple of days later, they were almost actually completely finished the game, but the dad told his son that it was time for bed. At around 2 a.m. he woke up and heard thumps on the door. He assumed that it was his son getting up to ask him for something because, you know, that's what little kids do, and he told the boy to go back to sleep. However, the thumping kept happening, and tails kept popping into his head. He got out of bed and slowly opened the door, and then he heard someone say very softly, "You're coming with me forever," and it was a doll. An evil, blood-covered, possessed little doll of Tails. And honestly, after Plush Trap and the Plush Babies and honestly anything else, can you really blame me for thinking that this would fit into the FNAF series? No, you can't. In the 9, Slenderman. I think at this point we all know who Slenderman is, okay? But I also wanted to point out that 5 out of 6 words that started this number had T's in them. Anyway, if you're somehow unaware, Slenderman is a tall, faceless entity wearing a suit. He's one of, if not the most popular creepypasta character in existence, and first appeared on the Something Awful forum. The Slenderman is a supernatural creature with nebulously defined characteristics and abilities. He generally appears as a tall humanoid creature in a black or gray suit with a red or black tie and obviously a white shirt. His face is totally white and blank, like just nothing. He's also normally between 6 and 10 feet tall, which is a pretty big gap, but oh well. He would originally stalk his targets, impale them on trees, and then remove their organs, but in comparison, the contemporary depictions have turned him into a more passive-aggressive creature, more likely to let his prey slowly devolve into madness until they're unable to cope with their situation, while often watching from afar as this takes place, which sounds exactly like a kind of animatronic that would be in the FNAF series. It's like the puppet, but who wants to mentally torment you instead of tear you limb from limb. So basically how I've seen this series. In at 8, Eyeless Jack. Eyeless Jack really feels very FNAF-y in his original story. The original creepypasta follows a man named Mitch who moves in with his brother Edwin after his house is foreclosed. A week later, Mitch wakes up with a large gash on his cheek, and after going to the hospital, the doctor reveals that Mitch's left kidney had been surgically removed overnight. Somehow. Around midnight that night, Mitch wakes to see Eyeless Jack standing over his bed. Mitch manages to grab his camera and take a picture before Jack attacks, clawing at his chest, but Mitch manages to escape and flees into the woods, where he trips and is knocked unconscious. Eyeless Jack is described in the original story as a person without eyes, obviously, wearing a black hoodie and an expressionless blue mask with no features, and black slime, supposedly blood, dripping from the eye sockets behind the mask. But is it just me, or does this give off seemingly Stitch Wraith vibes? Obviously yes, this came out before the Stitch Wraith, but could this creepypasta be what gave Scott the inspiration for this character? Because aside from the whole being a remnant-infused experiment, the two are pretty similar, or at least they are in feel and demeanor, I think. In at 7, Smile Dog. According to the story, Smile Dog, also known as Smile.jpg, is a haunted image dating back to the beginnings of the internet. Smile.jpg has a reputation for driving those who view it insane. All of the victims who have spoken up about their experiences have also said that they are visited by the dog-like creature in the image named Smile Dog. And when in these dreams, the only thing the victims can do is watch and listen as Smile Dog tells them that the only way to end their torment is to spread the word. And while yes, this is just an image that causes you to see a dog in your dreams, there is another dog that relates to the FNAF series that I could not help but draw a parallel to. Sparky. In the early days of FNAF 1, someone began to spread rumors about a hidden 6th animatronic named Sparky the dog, and sure enough, screenshots began to pop up on Tumblr, actually showing the animatronic. Reportedly, Sparky the one-armed dog was a non-violent animatronic that would never attack the player, only appearing occasionally in the backstage doorway. However, it was revealed to be a hoax, but I mean, like, come on. Dogs appearing in images, driving people crazy for different reasons. One because it's haunted and the other because we don't know if it was real. Yeah, that counts for this list because I need it to. Oh, I don't have enough energy. And it ain't Nina the Killer. Okay, yes, this is a fan addition to like the Jeff the Killer creepypasta world, but in the art that I've seen for this character, there is a lot of purple surrounding this killer, which honestly not only makes her feel like Afton, but also like Vanny because they're female. Nina Hopkins started off as a normal, air quotes, fangirl of Jeff. Nina would adore the creepypasta character and basically every quality about him and continue to read the story over and over. Her 6-year-old brother Chris wouldn't really mind the obsession and would look up to his sister. However, after attending their new school, a few bullies began to harass the two. When the first incident of like the bullying actually led to Nina almost killing her bullies, she began to explore her more violent nature, finding a link with her behavior and her idol, Jeff. And you know what? The fact that she has a little brother named Chris and everyone thought that Crying Child was named Chris only makes this worse. This is basically just a possible William Afton fangirl origin story, and if you don't think so, I don't know what is. Cause like, come on, this is one of the most terrifying concepts in my brain. I don't understand people who fall in love with serial killers, but even still, the idea that someone could be so obsessed that it turns them into their idol, that killer, yeah, that's not gonna cause me any problems when trying to get to sleep tonight at all, or every other night after. No, why would it do that? Halfway through into number 5, Willy's Wonderland. While not being a creepypasta, this kind of thing, I had to include it on this list. I mean, come on. This movie is starring Nicolas Cage, and it was definitely meant to be a FNAF movie before the actual FNAF movie could come out. Quote, a quiet drifter is tricked into a janitorial job at the now condemned Willy's Wonderland. The mundane task suddenly becomes an all-out fight for survival against wave after wave of demonic animatronics. Fists fly, kicks land, titans crash, and only one will make it out alive. That's the official plot for this movie. This is basically just like the plot to a FNAF fan game in movie form. I even thought that the movie was called Wally's World, which was either the location from a FNAF fan game or it just goes to show how memorable this movie is in comparison to FNAF. So like, this would honestly, it would be hilarious if Willy's Wonderland characters ended up in a FNAF game at some point, but like, come on. Maybe this was like the movie that Scott's in-universe counterpart ended up making because of his games, just like how Scott gets a FNAF movie in our world, maybe in universe he gets this movie. I don't know, I think that'd be hilarious if that's the case. And considering how FNAF is kind of leaking into our world now, that wouldn't be too far of a stretch. In it for the puppeteer. Considering how there is literally an animatronic called the Puppet with a couple of variations on said puppet animatronic, Nightmarion and Lefty, having a FNAF character that was a puppeteer would make so much sense. Honestly, it might make too much sense for the FNAF series if I'm being frank, okay? And I'm not usually frank. Most of the time, I'm Connor. The puppeteer is a vengeful spirit who feeds on loneliness and depression, which is why I found it fast. He targets the emotionally fragile, using them for his own gain and power. He'll stalk a victim for a certain period of time, slowly twisting them into believing that there is no way from escaping life's torment other than death. Although the puppeteer works alone, he has two unwilling proxies, Zachary and Emra, who actually are used in special occasions for when he needs a quick snack. They will seclude the victim in different ways, making the hunt much easier for the actual puppeteer. So yeah, I mean, from the term vengeful spirit to working alone and escaping torment, this is very much in the realm of FNAF possibilities. Like, I don't know really if they would be a good or a bad guy though. Like, I don't know. FNAF doesn't really seem to have any proper good guys, especially based on previous lists, but I don't know. Let me know what you think they would be in the comments. Would they be good or would they be bad? Would they be helping William or would they be against him? Although no one's really against William, at least in the right way. Getting close to the end, and number 3, Jason the Toy Maker. Okay, when I heard the name Jason the Toy Maker, it instantly made me think of William Afton, because in essence, William is the toy maker of FNAF's world. Plus, the image on the wiki that I was seeing at least had a lot of purple on this character, and again, purple, synonymous with evil apparently. And even the character description sounds like Afton, alright? Jason the Toy Maker is a creature with human features who loves building and inventing toys. He looks and acts like the perfect friend, but in reality, he's a selfish, lying, possessive control freak bastard who will kill anyone he perceives as standing in the way of his goal. I added the bastard thing, but I mean, does that not just perfectly describe what we seem to know about William Afton in the series, like almost to a T? But, remember the whole I will put you back together thing? Well, Jason the Toy Maker's goal is to convince the Chosen, to his current target, not Spencer Agnew, to make a promise to play with him for all of eternity. It doesn't matter to what extent the Chosen keeps this promise, because for Jason, the attention will never be enough. He can't stand it when the center of attention moves away from him, and he hates it when the Chosen proves to be ungrateful. This kind of sounds like my dad. But when he understands that the Chosen can't keep his promise and wants to go away, he will turn them into a wax doll so that they don't abandon him. So yeah, Afton. I could see it. But ultimately, in at number 2, Herobrine. The reason I have Herobrine on this list is, yes, for the tags in the algorithm and SEO, but also because in all honesty, Herobrine is just kind of the one you should not have killed, but a Minecraft creepypasta. In the original creepypasta, Herobrine is basically Notch's dead brother who ends up possessing the original game. Quote from the original story: "I would constantly think I saw the other player in the fog, but never when I looked in that direction. I saved the map and went on the forums to see if anyone else had found the mysterious player, and I received a PM from username Herobrine containing one word: stop. About a month passed until I heard from someone again. It was revealed to be the brother of Notch, the game's developer. I personally emailed Notch and asked him if he had a brother, and his only response was I did, but he's no longer with us." And while that doesn't necessarily confirm it as it being a possession thing, I feel like it's definitely implied. You don't just have a character running around your game that has the username of a dead brother without it being a possession or a ghost thing, okay? And considering how the one you should not have killed is possessing Afton, I think that the parallel kinda makes sense. And if not, we need it for the SEO, so deal with it, okay? You can't change the list now, I already did it. And finally, in at number 1, Cassiel the Demon Toddler. Speaking of the one you should not have killed, seeing the name Cassiel the Demon Toddler instantly made me think of the one you should not have killed. No matter who you think the identity of the spirit possessing Afton is, there's still a toddler. And if you think that it's Cassidy, Cassiel is like the supernatural fan version of Cassidy's name. According to the creepypasta, or I guess technically it's a happy pasta, Cassiel is a 2-year-old demon that was abandoned in the woods by her parents and then subsequently found and adopted by Slenderman and taken to the Slender Mansion to live with him and the other creeps. What? When Slenderman first found Cassie, he was really only interested in using her as a weapon, and he even considers eating her when she'd rather watch Care Bears than actually train. So while yes, it isn't exactly the same, I think that the whole like adopted demon daughter of Slenderman thing would definitely make sense as a character in FNAF, or I guess since the title says animatronic, it wouldn't really make sense, or maybe it would make sense if they possessed an animatronic. I kind of ignored the whole animatronic thing for this list, but that's fine. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been Showerman Connor Monroe. I'll see you in another video. That's all we're doing. And goodbye.